I wanted to introduce you to ground ivy, or creeping Charlie, it's also known as. Now check out this rounded leaf, and it has these two lobes at the bottom where the stem attaches. It has scalloped leaf margins, and the veins come out kind of radiating from the central stem. This is a very small plant, and you're gonna see the leaves this time of year. It usually pops up and blooms in the spring, which is the best time to harvest it. But the reason I want to show you this is because this is a powerful ally during the winter, because we can still harvest the leaves and use them as medicine. And specifically, this medicine has an affinity for the respiratory system. And it's going to help with coughs and congestion and mucousy conditions, and it has antimicrobial properties too, so any sort of infections, and it's something that we can just go outside and make a tea out of. So right now, if you end up finding these leaves, what you can do is harvest them and dry them out and just keep some dried leaves on hand. But also you can just figure out where these grow near you so that you know where to go once you get sick. And ground ivy, again, is just incredible for respiratory support. You could likewise tincture the leaves fresh. If you find these in spring, you want to harvest them right when the flower buds pop out, and a fresh tincture of the buds and leaves in flower is actually the most powerful medicine. But when we don't have that, it's still amazing to know what we have growing in our yard. A lot of people call these weeds because they'll be growing in your garden beds, but you do want to actually not kill these, not throw these away. If you are weeding these out of your garden, you should definitely use them. And the ratio for a medicinal tea is around an ounce of dried herb to every quart of water. So you'll put an ounce of dried herb in a mason jar, in a quart-sized mason jar, fill that jar the rest away full with freshly boiled water. You're gonna place a lid on the jar. That's really important because you don't want the volatile oils to escape. And then you're gonna let it steep for a minimum of 20 minutes. You can use that steam to breathe in, to clear your sinuses, and then you're gonna consume the tea throughout the day. A medicinal dose is at least 1 cup 3 times daily, but you can absolutely drink more than that. And in just a minute, I'm going to show you what ground ivy or creeping Charlie looks like growing on the ground. Okay, so here we have our ground ivy or creeping Charlie, and this is a creeping vining plant. Right now I can't really pull up the vine, but if you get it growing where it hasn't attached all of those roots along where it creeps, then you can actually pull it out in one long strand. But again, note the scalloped leaf margins and the roundish shape to the leaves, and that's what you're looking for. That's ground ivy or creeping Charlie. So knowing which herbs you can find right now as we go into what is known as sick season can be a game changer. So in addition to identifying and harvesting ground ivy or creeping Charlie leaves, you can also work with pine. This is another one that has an affinity for the respiratory system. It has antimicrobial properties, anti-inflammatory properties. I'm going to say that again in the next slide, but I just want to point out that most of the species of pine that grow here in Middle Tennessee, actually all of them that you would find here that haven't been transplanted from somewhere else. So that includes the Virginia pine, the shortleaf pine, the loblolly pine, and the eastern white pine can all be used medicinally interchangeably. And when you're looking to identify pine trees, be sure you know the difference between pines and other evergreens. So I'm going to show you a side-by-side comparison of pine and juniper at the very end of this video. Hey y'all, I'm out here with my friend, the eastern white pine tree, and I just wanted to let you know that this tree is food and medicine. How you identify it is to take a look at the needles here, and when you see each bundle of needles individually, having 5 needles, you're going to know you found eastern white pine if you're in the Middle Tennessee area or an area that's similar to my area. So eastern white pine needles can be used as a tea, and they also can be used medicinally for respiratory support, for anti-inflammation properties, and also as an antimicrobial, so meaning any sort of internal infections, specifically those that target the respiratory tract. If you want to know more about eastern white pine and understanding pine medicine, you can head over to my Patreon. I'll drop the link below. And I have a pine medicine bundle out this month that's $5. You'll get the 2-page monograph on pine, a little identification chart, and you'll get 5 recipes with pine needles, all for $5. So again, just showing you what the eastern white pine looks like. In case you have this growing nearby, you'll want to harvest the fresh green needles to work with it. Let's do a side-by-side comparison of pine and juniper. Okay, just by looking at it, it's extremely different. The needles of the juniper tree are branched, they are scaled. This is a male juniper, so we're seeing the cones, and look how different pine needles look. So not all evergreens are pines.